I think experience design is nothing new for architects. We were always in the business of audience engagement and precisely designing for how one should feel and what to read in a certain space. I'm Peter Vikar. I'm a design director at a New York-based design firm, Local Projects. I started off on a kind of classic architecture path because of my father, who's an architect, and my studies at the Angewandte in Vienna, where we mainly focused on speculative building projects using the latest digital tools like Maya and Rhino scripting at the time. It was a small program with the oversight of a very selected group of the early digital avant-garde. It was actually also the first time I got familiar with SCI-Arc, and I was an exchange student. I was a fresh graduate from the Angewandte in 2008, when there was a lot of reality check and kind of a loss of idealism because of the financial crisis and how it affected the industry. So I decided to stay in Vienna for the next 3 years and worked as an architect mainly on large public buildings. But most of the times I felt that the work is unimaginably slow. It would take years to see the fruits of the work. So I got interested in finding a way to more faster paced work that's more innovative and technology based. So that's how I ended up coming back to SCI-Arc in 2011, just when SCI-Arc launched the Robot House. And it was it's a fascinating, uncharted territory. I worked and taught at UCLA until 2017, where I became much more interested in kinetic structures from the ground up. In 2017, when we relocated to New York City, I felt it was time to kind of take all this knowledge and what I absorbed in academia about design and technology and realize it on a bigger scale, on larger budgets, and that's how I ended up at Local Projects. I think what Local Projects does really well and kind of specialized in is the integration of nonlinear storytelling in physical spaces to create kind of participatory interactive experience that's centered around active visitor engagement. Gallery Zero is a permanent installation we worked on at Guggenheim Bilbao, and it opened at the end of 2018. The museum commissioned Local Projects to design an intro gallery experience that kind of acts as a transformative space arriving from the city as a sort of palate cleanser to prepare the visitors before they go and explore the museum's collection. The space itself was a kind of an odd-shaped room directly opening from the lobby. Originally, it was designed by Gary as an art storage. So it wasn't very large, and the idea was to build a room-scale optical device that could multiply the spatial experience and turn this wedge-shaped room into a 14 times larger rotunda. The music and the video were all original works by Local Projects. It kind of highlights the urban transformation of Bilbao, the construction of Gary's building, and offers a unique overview of the museum's permanent collection. So the museum was completed in 1997, and it's an incredibly dense piece of architecture. I think I visited Bilbao maybe 6 times during the installation of Zero. And the building kept on changing and revealing new details every time I went. Zero, on the other hand, is more a phantom space. When you're standing inside Zero, the virtual dimensions of the gallery feel real, and they intersect with the museum's lobby. So there's this juxtaposition of the meandering volumes of the building and this perfect cylindrical space Zero creates through reflections. So there are definitely some unexpected learnings as usual. In the New York studio, we did a bunch of physical models and, of course, computer simulations before we had the gallery built. So we had a fairly good understanding of the space and how the reflection of the media will perform from the different vantage points. As a general rule, the closer you stand to the screen, the deeper you see in the space. We knew that we need to find a way to draw them deeper, because really that's where the wow moment of this gallery happens. So we ended up designing furniture that kind of drew them deeper in the space. Exhibition design is similar to architecture in that design goes through multiple refinement phases from concept through design development. The real difference is the depth we are working through the content and the storytelling aspect of the work that ends up reflected in both the media and the physical dimensions of the project. We work closely with clients and various stakeholders from early strategy phase, where we pin down the main chapters of the narrative. Later production phases, when the interactives and the technology gets implemented, mainly through prototyping. We build various degrees of refinement of prototypes where we really test user behavior and how one will feel and what will learn and how the meaning can come across from these interactives. The studio is a very diverse group of professionals. It's made up of media designers, graphic designers, architects, coders, content developers, and project managers. So to give you a sense of the proportions, we have about 6 architects out of 60 people. Collaboration is paramount and is the most important aspect of the work, and especially because the end result is very complex and not really exclusively owned by any of these groups. So we are, to say, early adopters of new technologies. I would kind of highlight 2 areas that I think are the most exciting today that we are working with is augmented reality and the use of artificial intelligence. One super exciting opening that's coming up this year is in DC called Planet Word. We have been working on this project for many years. It's dedicated to the love of language, part of a historic landmark that gets renovated and this new museum, and it's going to be a really exciting project. So stay tuned.